can I make my sketchbook incrementally better, or will I incrementally make it worse? That's one of the fears I always have when I come across a blank page or I turn over a page in my sketchbook. I bought some washi tape from Hobbycraft. This is fairly cheap. There was probably about a dozen rolls for a few quid, £5 or something. This is 12mm tape, and I'm just putting it down to mask off an area so when I start painting I can have a nice crisp edge. And I've got a tip that I picked up off someone else's YouTube channel. I think they were demonstrating acrylics, and I thought I'd give this a go, and it kind of works surprisingly well. A funny story about my gouache paints. 15 years ago, I bought a bunch. I'll come back to that story in a little minute. This is a Stay Wet box. This is great. You put a bit of water on a sponge, and it's supposed to keep your gouache paints from completely drying out, keeps them wet. And I last used this about 3 weeks ago, maybe. And is the paint still wet? Yeah, it's worked surprisingly well. I'm really pleased with this. It's a nice big mixing area, nice big palette, and that bit of paper you can wash off. So back to my gouache story. I bought some paints about 15 years ago. Put them in a box, forgot all about them. About 5 years ago, I started painting again temporarily for about 3 or 4 months, and I went and bought myself some more gouache paints. And then in August I went and bought myself some more gouache paints because I saw someone messing with it on YouTube, and I thought, I'm going to have a go at that. So I then accidentally found all 3 lots of my gouache paint, my new, my not so new, and my very old. So I've now got more gouache paint than you can shake a stick at. So yeah, just forgetting what I bought and where I put it. Tried. This is it's acrylic fluid mask. You can see the page is a little bit wet. I picked this tip up off of another channel, another YouTube video, and I think they were doing with acrylic. And what you do is you use that clear acrylic medium, and you paint it over the page before you start doing any gouache painting, and it seeps under the washi tape and kind of dries in any nooks and crannies under the washi tape, which stops any paint that you then put on top doing the same. So when you peel the masking tape off, it's supposed to give you a really, really crisp line. So we'll see at the end if that's worked. It's a great tip, but will it work is the question. The beautiful thing about gouache paints is that they're beautifully opaque. You can see the ink drawing. It was a rather crude drawing. The drawing didn't have to be anything special. I just did it in a brush pen that I had at the time, with a view to come back and do a gouache painting in the future at some point. So this is kind of being a placeholder in my sketchbook. The beauty about gouache paints is that they can be reactivated on the page. So you can kind of make amends, paint over with confidence. That's a pro. It's also a con. So if you mess up and you reactivate the paint, it can get a bit messy. Now, this is kind of my 4th painting, I think, in gouache. So I'm still coming to terms with the medium. The darks dry lighter and the lights dry darker. You know, silly things like that. Just understanding how the paints work with each other, and also the paper that I'm painting on. This is quite a cheap sketchbook. This paper is probably, I don't know, 100 gram, 120 gram. It's certainly not supposed to be for watercolors or gouache or oil. It's just a cheap sketchbook. So the gouache is taking to the paper quite nicely. It buckles a wee bit, but that's to be expected because it's not the highest grade paper. I tried to pay attention to tones of paint. So here I've kind of got a light source coming in from the right side of the pencil, casting a bit of a shadow. So the right of the pencil is in quite a bright cadmium red, almost neat. The left of the pencil, I've got the same cadmium red, but I've added some alizarin crimson to darken it down a bit. That middle section, that black, is actually burnt umber and French ultramarine. I don't use black straight from a tube. I just mix it up. It's dark enough. You rarely see true black in nature. Most things are very dark shades, very dark tones of other things. So you can see here that reactivate, putting a darker tone down as the shadow. It was the right choice to do, the right thing to do. That first shadow was just far too light, but I reactivated the background and it's all now gone horribly wrong. So I'm now fighting with myself. Can I save this painting? Do I now ruin it? This is my naivety, my inexperience with gouache paint. So one of the other things that I do, I'm really tight on paint and I just don't like wasting it. So I don't pull enough out of the tubes and I never mix enough. Especially with gouache, I've got to come to the terms with you need to mix a load more than you probably think you need. So I had to go back and mix a new batch of background paint. And then there's a lot of faff. You can see there's a lot of messing and doing, trying to save the painting and can I pull it off? So you go through this panic mode of, oh, it's going really well. Oh no, it's all gone horribly wrong. Can I now save it? The shadow, I think I got the tone right. It's one of the things that I'm trying to work on is getting the lights and the darks right. Sometimes you don't have to worry so much about have you got the colour right. It's have you got the tone right? Does it read? So some pure white, as long as the white going over is thick enough and you're not messing around with too many brush strokes, you can put white right over. You can see that I put some white on black, and I'm just trying to put a bit of a sheen, a bit of highlight onto the right hand side of the pencil, like you're getting that kind of reflection off the paint of the pencil. So this is just a bit of messing now with highlights, with shadows, just trying to make it a little bit more realistic, a little bit for it to pop a bit more and become less two-dimensional, and trying to make it pop three-dimensional. And the big reveal, did my tip about using acrylic medium fluid matte work? And I think it has. It's given me a really nice crisp line. As long as you're slow with taking the washi tape off and the tape hasn't been on the paper too long. Bearing in mind this is really cheap paper, so I was expecting it to rip, and it hasn't, but it's given me a beautifully crisp line. So that tip has worked really, really well. I'm really, really pleased with that. So this is my fourth picture in gouache, about 3 hours worth of painting with the medium. And I've learnt loads, and I'm learning loads. They're not perfect. I'm fairly pleased. It's about a 30-minute painting. I love gouache. It doesn't love me in the same way that I think I love cake, don't we all? But unfortunately, cake it's not that cake doesn't like me. Cake hates me. If you've enjoyed this, please do subscribe to my channel.